Hello, hello. Happy New Year. Is it too late to still say that? Can we still say
No,
that?
not at all. Happy New Year to you too.
New Year. Thank you. Thank you. And so, guys, before I introduce this fantastic couple, I just want to say welcome to FinServe Now with Zakia Larry, obviously presented by the Council for Inclusion in Financial Services. Now, this is the top of the year, and a lot of people are thinking about not only your business finances, we get it, we're here for you, but they're also thinking about diversity, equity, inclusion. We get that too, national sentiments, and also people are thinking giving. How do you put all of these pieces together? What does that look like for you, no matter where you are in your business or your brand? Well, glad you popped in here because this is a fantastic opportunity to, like I like to say, to sit at the feet of some fantastic philanthropists whom I admire. Also business leaders, Keith and Mara Murray. Now, Keith is the founder, president of VRM Real Estate Alliance, and Mara is the director and president of PCV, VRM Seeds of Hope. So today we will learn philanthropy beyond check writing. Whoa, what? What does that look like? And also the reason for the Murray family's passion around philanthropy, as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you'll also hear a bit about their landmark support of the CIFS and how you can benefit. Murray's, hello.
Good afternoon.
How
Hello.
are you? Thank you for
Well,
having me
I'm incredibly well.
be here.
My pleasure. Thank you for agreeing to be here because I know time is premium, at a premium with you too. And so thank you for making sure that you're here with our community. We really, really appreciate you for that. And so let's jump in here because I said noted philanthropist, national noted philanthropist. And you know what? And Mara, I see your face right there. People automatically think philanthropy, funding, and that's a lot. So my question for you, and I'll start with Mara, what does philanthropy mean to you, and how do the two of you decide which organizations to support?
Well, first of all, when we said we were going to sit down and do this, again, I kind of cringed at that, the notion of philanthropist and, the title. Because when I personally think of philanthropy, right, I envision black tie events and Bill Gates and people like Robert
Smith.
Right, Robert Smith, and cocktail attire and champagne and big checks being written. And we don't really see ourselves this way. There may be some events certainly associated with what we do, and certainly there is money, but there's so many ways that you can support an organization, and I want to make sure that people know that being a philanthropist really means someone who can make a effort to promote human welfare and to better your community and to support the organizations that ring true to you.
Yeah. And I really see us more as charitable, and I guess I make that distinction as well as in the way that Mara describes it. When you think of your name on buildings and things, I think what moved us and what excites us about what we do is it's really what strikes us and strikes our hearts in our community. And that's, certainly there's a financial component to it at times, but more than not, it's a time commitment. It's more of being an ambassador and speaking about those causes that you care about to others.
Well, in a lot of the smaller organizations, you don't have to give money. I mean, there's so many things that can be done. And I really want to impress upon people that it isn't always about money, that if there is something you're interested in, to get involved and find out, because a lot of the grassroots organizations need help with lots of, other things.
That is such a powerful point, and thank you for that. I love melding together these concepts, seeing yourself as charitable, to Keith's point, and then also, Mara, to your point, it's not always about money, and I think that is really fantastic. One of the things that we do at the CIFS, there are education sessions for the communities, for people's finances and credit, and so that's a really big part of it because that also creates a legacy, which is really important to me. And speaking of legacy, and you mentioned things close, both of you mentioned things close to your heart. Well, VRM is the largest supporter of the CIFS. So one, Thank you so much. But also with the work that the CIFS is doing to diversify the industry, certainly around diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's the bedrock. What ignited your passion around those causes?
And really, it reflects my journey. We have a suite of companies now, PCV Mercor, which will be 40 years old in November, VRM Mortgage Services, which is coming up, I think, on 15 years, and the recently started title agency called High Tide Settlement Services. And what I've noted in my career from the beginning, even through today, is when we go to conferences, even albeit virtual ones now, there's just not a lot of diversity amongst our ranks. And so I'm really proud of what we've been able to do in our companies, particularly within the leadership and within the rank and file, to diversify the company. And so it melds right with the mission of CIFS, not just in the mortgage industry, but then within the general spectrum of financial services. So it really reflects my experience as a business owner and why we're really attracted to the CIFS.
Absolutely. And Mara, what do you wish someone had told you at the beginning of your philanthropy journey? Because obviously Keith is pulling from his experience, but what do you wish you had known very early on?
I wish that someone had said to me that anything you do will be valued and that it's important. I think we oftentimes feel that if we can only give a little bit or only give an hour here and there, that it's not enough. And I know from working with a lot of organizations that anything that anybody gives is so impactful and it's important. So that's, something I wish somebody had said to me in the beginning so that I wouldn't feel so pressured and I wouldn't feel so bad if there was something that I couldn't do. And I also think that I wish someone had warned me not to be overwhelmed at the need, because there is so much need. And I mean, across my desk every day comes somebody who needs money or diapers or support for their family. I mean, there's just so much need, and that can be really overwhelming. And so to remember to choose your passion and to, go with what's really important to you, and to realize that if you're helping one person, you've made an impact.
Wow, that is so powerful. Especially the concept of not being overwhelmed by the need. Someone's always going to need something. And so, this is a perfect segue into my next question here. So there may be people who are listening right now who say, yeah, there's a lot of need, but I don't know if I have a lot of resources. So this is going to be a twofold question here. And I would love Mara to still jump back in here. Keith, and of course, weigh in. I'd love for her to kick this one off. There's a lot of need, and there are folks listening who say, not sure where to start. How do you choose which need to address? How do you choose the philanthropic causes and the organizations? How do you eat an elephant? I think that's my question, Mara.
It's really, really hard, right? Keith said, one bite at a time. You really, really have to go with what moves you and what impassions you. There is going to be an opportunity to jump in and support something that's important to you, but there are also so many things that we don't know about. I mean, there are a lot of organizations that ask us for money or ask us for support or ask us for time that, we don't know anything about. And so, it does take time, and I don't know if I have a foolproof way to tell people how to make a decision other than, you have to go with your passion. What affects you? What affects your family? What are you seeing in your community as a need at this time?
And I think from where we began, it really was what was important and what we saw in our immediate network. And so this sort of speaks to both sides of the question of being charitable and also how you select your charities, because part of how we learned about charities is that folks that we know shared as ambassadors shared what was important to them. And just in that act, is being charitable and acting as an ambassador. But more than anything, it's really what tugs at your heartstrings, and you don't have to look far. More than ever now, there is so much need. So it's you can be confused by it, but I think you can't take a wrong direction or a wrong turn as it relates to giving.
Absolutely. Before I go to my next question, so audience, hello, you have a chance to ask your own questions. Ask the Murrays, right? So just drop your question in the chat box and I will fold them in. So this is a fantastic opportunity to talk to our incredible leadership here. So I'm going to sort of flow a bit in the vein of diversity and inclusion, but picking a charity. But I'm going to call out something really incredible. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So this part this gives me chills because since 2012 alone, more than $100 million has been invested in veteran-owned businesses through the philanthropic efforts through the VRM and VRM family of companies here. And Keith, I remember hearing you at one of the FinServe expos speaking about diversities and speaking about veterans. And you shared with the audience that often diversity, equity, and inclusion is not just about race, it's perspectives, it's also experiences, it's culture. And so to see such a significant investment in our veterans is not only phenomenal, but it piques some questions here. What benefits have you seen both professionally and personally from investing so substantially in our veterans?
Well, we owe such a debt to our veterans, just to begin with that. And it's something that I'm very proud of, and we all are at VRM as well as at PCV Mercor. It's really, we've surpassed that number in terms of sourcing dollars spent. And so we're very proud of that. It aligns very well with our business to hire folks that are disciplined, that can follow a mission, and that are used to being a part of a team. And so it really is a win for us. What's been exciting about it is as we've gone out and been able to partner with veterans across the country, we found that there are many folks practicing in marketplaces that are the best at what they do, but perhaps did not have an opportunity to work with a corporate seller or a corporate player or corporate AMC. And so, we have, as we talked about before, we're at VRM, a learning and training platform, VRM University. And so we've been able to marry the veterans as well as our other business partners in what's necessary to work with corporate sellers. So it's not just being able to work with a VRM or a PCV or with a high tag, but once you get that education, you could work with any of the major players in the marketplace.
One of the things I would like to point out to what you're sharing, Keith, is with these veterans, they have a myriad of opportunities. And like you've shared across the different verticals, absolutely. But in case you didn't know, folks, our veterans participate in that vendor network, but also internships and even full-time employment at headquarters. So, a lot of activity here around our American heroes. So I really appreciate you for that. I come from a military family, so that's close to my heart. Oh, wow. See, look, the Murrays are already helping us pick pick our path here, our philanthropic path. So this forum is about candidly discussing all aspects of our community, in the financial services industry, everything that impacts us personally and professionally. So I am just going to ask that question nobody wants to say out loud, but they all want to ask.
Uh-oh.
Philanthropy is good. Yeah, and I see the smiles, Murrays. You get me. Philanthropy is incredible, giving back is incredible, but we have businesses and bottom lines. What advice do you have here to preserve the bottom line or even enhance it through philanthropy? I'll add the caveat. I know we don't give to get, but we're running businesses here, folks. So how can we strike that balance and not give away our shirts when trying to do good while also leading well?
Well, again, it's not always about the money.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we've experienced in affiliating with charities is that you end up meeting like-minded people, right? And we call it in business networking, right? That's not the goal, but you find when you have a similar passion and you see things in a similar way and you want to help similar causes, you meet people that have similar feelings about that. And in some cases, you'll find that some of those folks are in businesses that may need your services or in some way are affiliated. So, that's sort of the side benefit. That's not our motivation behind it, but our very first business, as I mentioned, started 4 years ago in the bedroom of a condo that I own. And so the things that I was doing then obviously are different than now, but certainly it's a starting point to figure out some way to participate, even if it's an hour on a weekend with a charity, and you'll be amazed at how it happens that your business and your network expands as a byproduct of that. But selfishly from our perspective, and I'll speak for me, it feels good to help other folks.
Well, but and to your point, for a lot of small mom and pop companies, it's like, okay, how do we do this? Where are we going to get the money, and how do we make an impact? And I think that's what you're asking. There's so many different ways. I mean, I can't impress upon everyone that if you contact an organization that you're interested in supporting, you will be shocked at just how much need there is that's outside of the financial realm. Everything from volunteering to having you be an ambassador, I know we kind of talked about that, to giving something, whether it's your services, and maybe you don't have to do a lot of it, but it could be just like a tiny amount of giving that won't affect your bottom line, but it can make a huge, as I said before, impact.
And I think I'd add on, I think as you do that, you share with your network what you're passionate about. That's how we've learned about a number of charities that we're affiliated with. In fact, I mean, that's what I'm probably most proud of is in our family of companies, we take a lot of feedback from the associates and the employees on what they're passionate about, right? And so that's where we get a lot of information and awareness about causes that we may not have known about. But I think you can start anywhere. So as Mara said, I think there's the amount of need, as I said, if you get on the phone and you ask, how can I help? You'd be amazed at, from your perspective, how simple the ask may be, and it not be financial.
Wow. Thank you for that. And you're generating audience questions here. So Michael asks, can you discuss some of the non-dollar economic impact that you achieved or aspire toward? One, but how do you measure that? And how do you promote the depth of change that is brought about? So Michael, I'll pare this down a bit. So some of the non-dollar things that you do, can you discuss the impact? And also, what are you hoping to achieve through Seeds of Hope, and how do you measure it?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a big question.
Well, and the non-dollar really is through affiliations, organizations like CIFS, right? And so I'll give you a great example. Some of the things we do through CIFS are job fairs. And so to have a job fair and find out 3 days later that 5 folks gained employment through that is phenomenal and very rewarding. So that's one of those non-dollar ways, and that's a way you measure, in a very immediate way, the feedback and the impact of what you're doing. Where do we hope to go is as we continue to expand our businesses, we want to continue to expand our help. I mean, we have community causes that we're passionate about. We have professional causes that we're passionate about, and seeing more diversity and inclusion within financial services is at the top of that. Obviously not just for me. I mean, I know I'm the old guy here, but there are a number of professionals that we work with that only need an opportunity and that are amongst our highest performers in all of our businesses, and they happen to be diverse. And so we just want to see more folks get more opportunity to participate. I think my answer is probably shorter than the question.
And that's why we love talking to you. And Michael, that was a great question. Thank you for that. And he also touched on, well, how do you promote the depth of change that is brought about? And you have a phenomenal website with some updates on there. So great visibility there. And I'd like to add to this conversation because I've had the great fortune for the last several years of being on the advisory team for the CIFS. And through articles and press releases that I get a chance to generate, we're able to tell the good news. And what I really love about what you're doing, Mara and Keith, is that anytime I get these updates, they're so unassuming. And I need the audience to understand this. When the updates about the philanthropic efforts come across my desk and it's connected to the CIFS and I get a chance to do a press release and reach out to a publication, it's very much like, oh, this is what happened with veterans do you mind doing an article? And I'm thinking, what? Wow, that's my reaction, but it's just the grace in giving that you all have. And so, Michael, that's a way to promote it also through industry publications, press releases, but also just coming from the heart and being authentic. So this is fun stuff. If you have any other questions, audience, please drop them in, because we are starting to land the plane here with our very own leadership, the Murrays here. So Mara, let me come to you. Should there be a number limit on the organizations you support, or is it just about a passion limit? How do we figure this out?
That's a hard question, and we go back and forth. There have been years when we have supported lots of organizations, and then there are years that we've pared down. I think it really just depends on, again, yes, certainly your passion, but it really depends on what kind of impact you want to make. We were doing sort of, for example, an organization that supports, for example, the ocean. And they had a lot of big dollar donors. So what we were donating didn't feel like it was really making a difference. So we kind of decided to pare back and find something that was more local, something that felt like we could really get involved and really make a difference, and a difference that we could see. So I do think it changes. Sometimes it feels like you need to go bigger, and sometimes one or two may be the right fit for your organization.
Well, and I just add to that that you don't have to be tied into one forever, right? As we evolve as people and as our interests change, and I certainly know as we got married, we had kids, and things we were exposed to and things we saw changed some of our philanthropic efforts. So I think the takeaway from that would be, you can pick one, you can pick two. It may change. I mean, certainly you find that charities depend on their donors and their volunteers to move the organization forward. But I think as long as you're coming from a place of giving and helping, that you can't go wrong. So that's sort of been our approach. But yes, over time we've had different organizations, and it is an ongoing conversation. And we know some folks that only do one, and that's all they do, and I think that's fantastic. We just have a lot of interest, and so we, as a result, had many charities that we supported over time.
And I also, to add to that, it depends on what's going on, right, in our neighborhood, in our society. I mean, right now there's a huge need for food banks and support of food banks, and there's a huge need for support of homeless shelters and for domestic abuse shelters. So, depending on what's going on in society, we may shift to fill that need.
And then, as I said earlier, and I don't minimize this at all, because I think it's really important, is we take a lot of feedback from our employees, and that's where we've been not surprised, but just really impressed by the heart of giving that exists through our family of companies, and learned a lot about charities that just weren't on our radar. So I think that that's been really helpful. And as I said, it's all tied into that notion of ambassadorship and communication and networking in terms of sharing what you're doing with folks that you're coming into contact with.
That's incredibly useful information. So let's stay these last couple of minutes on the brass tacks of philanthropy. How on earth, because building a major nationally recognized company, marriage, family, all the things, and philanthropy, how do you figure out how to fold in philanthropy when life and business is happening? People don't like the word balance anymore, but how do you make it happen? How can we make it happen?
Well, it really, my mom used to say to me, you can always make time for what's important to you, always. And I mean, it's something we live by, that if it's really important and it feels important, we fold it into our life. And oftentimes that means folding in our kids and having them participate so that we can do it all together and find time so that we're having family time and we're doing charity, which has been a really wonderful and really important experience for us. At the end of the day, we do the best we can, like everybody else. On any given day, we do the best that we can.
I love it, folding it in versus balance, because balance is for so many people so unachievable here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I have two more questions here. And remember, guys, we are about to end. So please ask the Murrays what you would like to while we have them here. And so, you know what, 2021 is a year of shifting. We know that. So let's just unpack this a little bit here. So from the perspective of, you know, the VRM Real Estate Alliance, well, let's just go PCV Mercor family of companies, and also your philanthropic efforts, what are some key elements that we can look forward to either in support or business benefit? You know, this is our audience right here on the line. Where do you need us, folks? And how can we rally around 2021 and the family of companies here?
Well, from a business perspective, you know, we all know in financial services right now there exists, you know, moratoriums around mortgage and mortgage relief. We have no idea how that's really going to fold out. You know, right now within the businesses, we're constantly working on solutions to bring to communities, to bring stabilization to communities. From a valuation perspective, making sure we're selecting practitioners within the immediate market that understand the market. I know there's a lot of conversation right now about unconscious bias and appraisal, so that's something that we're sensitive to and that we're focusing on. From a VRM perspective, it's creating solutions to make sure that if there is a significant increase in inventory of properties that are coming to the market, that again, we're selecting practitioners that are vested in their community, doing the right thing, have all the training and education and tools they need to make sure that we're not harming communities in terms of values. Philanthropically, our big initiative this year is the support of the 2021 FinServe convention, which is in June. I believe it's going to be virtual. Mm-hmm. So, but we're excited about that, and I know the focus of it is really on how do we shift and keep our businesses much more nimble, because that's what's required. I mean, you know, pivoting to what's happened over the last 8 months and what we have to look forward to in the next year is critical. And so I know there'll be lots of speakers and programs and presentations on that topic. That's really what we're focused on this year.
Well, we know, yes, there will be other speakers, but what a phenomenal way to launch 2021 than with the Murrays. And so as we put a bow on this incredible package of philanthropic conversation, I would like to start with you here, Mara. Are there any, I'm not even going to say closing words, because we are kicking off 2021 and we're doing it together. Do you have any opening for 2021 words for our audience here, for our family here at the CIFS?
You know, I think I would just tell everyone to jump in. Just jump in. Get started, and you know, once your feet hit that water, you're gonna find your way. So it's a good thing. It's great for your companies. It's great for your families. So jump in.
Yeah, similarly. Again, don't minimize what you can contribute. And again, I'm not even talking about monetarily, but I promise you, if you engage with any of the local communities in the communities that you live in, you will find that they'll be very appreciative of anything that you can do, and you'll be amazed at what your expertise and what talents that you have, how they can be used for the benefit of others.
Wow, thank you so much for those incredible send-offs into 2021. And you know what? One of our audience members is going to say this goodbye and thank you better than I can. So check this out. Phyllis Wright, hi Phyllis, said, please let Keith and Mara know how much they are appreciated by their employees at VRM. They are the best.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very sweet.
And with that, thank you so much for joining us, Murrays. This has been fantastic. We have learned so much, and we are ready to fold in philanthropy as we continue to elevate in our careers. And so, good people, thank you so much for joining FinServe Now. I'm your host, Zakia Larry. Remember, the third Tuesday of every month, you get nuggets and opportunities just like this. And we are on the road to this summer. Of course, our FinServe Now Expo. The theme is Shift 2021. That's going to be June 22nd and June through the 23rd, June 22nd through June the 23rd. So go to councilforinclusion.org/FinServe-Expo. Just go, look at the banner, click around, sign up and be there, because we will be elevating you all 2021. And next month, February, our conversation is on financial habits, how to develop better ones. And I'm pretty sure that'll help us in our philanthropy journey too. Right, Maurice?
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you and have a great day. Goodbye, guys.
New Year.
Bye-bye.